Welcome to the Thin Blue Line Outdoors Podcast.
This pig came bottling.
Just ended up puking last night. It sucked.
Whoa! Ah! We gut it, we wrap it in tinfoil, throw it over the fire.
Let's see here. And we're recording. All right. All right, guys. Nate with Thin Blue Line Outdoors. I am here with Old Man River, also known as Steve. You guys watch channel. Steve is a dispatcher here in Central Illinois. He kicked Jared's ass at a fishing competition a couple of years ago. I still think it was rigged. He says I owe him dinner still. I don't think that's true.
That was the bet.
Cody owes you dinner, if anybody.
Cody was with me.
Yeah, but he owes you dinner for me not killing a deer 2 years ago.
Oh, that's true.
Really, Cody is the central of all this, that you don't get food pretty much.
Cody's the genesis of everything evil, I believe.
So Steve had a really successful 2023 season. He didn't get them on film, but he got the recoveries on film. So it's a step in the right direction with Steve. Technology and old man who's been around since the biblical age is hard. But no, Steve, if you want to jump in and just kind of talk about your 2023 season and take us through some of those hunts.
I've always been just basically a meat eater, or a meat hunter, I should say. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, this has been the third season, but 3 years ago I had a buck that I had spotted and told Cody that was kind of the deer I was going to go after. And the 2 years after that, I had it close, but I never could get a shot. I spooked it up at 30 yards last year in the 22 season. And then this year it came in. I had everything set this year. I had trees marked. I had lanes cut to get to the trees. And it just kind of came in right there where I was actually doe hunting one day. My season was over by end of October. It was just a quick, everything went together season.
So is this the first year that you've actually, like, quote unquote prepped, where you haven't just gone out there in a saddle or gone to like where blind might be or stand and hunted? No,
this is the first year that, well, I should say the last 3 years is the ones that I've actually like truly just strictly went after a buck, this one buck. Usually I just basically, like I say, meat hunt.
What made you want to go after this one buck? Just how big it was?
I don't know. I've just always wanted to, if I put one on my wall, it's going to be a big one, and I wanted that perfect symmetrical 10-point, and so I saw it, and here we are.
Took me
a couple years getting, but
where were you when it came in? All that.
I was actually sitting in my ground blind, and like I say, it's a pretty good doe spot, and you usually get some smaller bucks up in that area, but I don't know. I just walked out there with a doe one day, and I actually thought she was going to bust me because she came out first, and then he came out, and he was standing 39 yards directly in front of me, but she was off to my left side. And I thought she was going to blow because she just kept staring, and I thought she was going to blow and spook him off. And luckily he turned broadside, and I took my shot, and she never did blow. And the crazy thing is, 2 days later, after I'd already used my buck tag, I had another one came out in the same exact spot, probably the same exact size as this one, if not maybe even a little bigger. So
were you kind of like kicking yourself like I should have gotten another buck tag?
I was, but I'd say I've always just wanted the one from my wall, and this was the one I wanted, and I got it.
So what made you not want to saddle hunt that day, or just
go? Well, this fall it was so warm. I bought a brand new saddle. This is my second saddle. I bought a brand new one for this year, ropes and everything, and it was just so warm. I hate being out there sweating. I just feel like that gives your scent up a heck of a lot quicker. And so it was 50, 60 degrees. Most days I had to go deer hunting. And so I just sat on the ground, and all three of my deer this year came from sitting on the ground because it was so warm. I never climbed up in the tree or at all this year.
Did you use the old bucket?
I think I had my bucket with me this year. Yeah. I can't remember if I had the bucket or the chair in there.
So you mentioned saddle hunting. How long have you been saddle hunting for, and why did you get into saddle hunting?
This was my second season. Well, this has been my third season with it, and I actually got a new saddle this year because my son said he would like to start going deer hunting. So I was just going to have him use my old saddle, and I went ahead and got a new one for this year. And like I say, I never had the chance to use it.
Mm-hmm. So why did you start saddle hunting then?
I don't know. After Cody, I made fun of him when he first did it. Told him he was crazy. That looked
Like Tarzan?
yeah, it kind of looked unsafe.
Mm-hmm.
Then after I got to looking at it and watching guys with videos and stuff, I thought, well, that'd be cool. You know, I've hunted out of blinds, hunted out of tree stands, hunted on, you know, just sitting up against a tree, and something different to try. So
Have you seen any?
And after I tried it, I really liked it.
Have you seen any differences like between saddle hunting and sitting in a blind or in a tree stand?
Well, obviously the trees, you can, with the saddle, you're a lot more mobile. You can get a lot more places. You're not just fixed to one tree, or you're not fixed to one specific blind.
Mm-hmm.
You're able to go different areas, which I liked.
I got you. So in case you guys didn't know, we also did a contest this year with a bunch of team members for the biggest buck. And Steve struck early and survived. It was the biggest buck out of everybody. I don't think anybody really came close to you for size of the buck. I mean, it is a monster. If you check out our Instagram or Facebook, you'll see a picture of Steve with it. Were you shaking?
I wasn't up until after. When it went down, then it's when I started shaking.
Got that buck fever in you?
Yeah. But up until after, like I say, when it went down, that's when I started shaking, because I knew it was the biggest one I'd ever shot. So.
How long have you been hunting for?
Oh, God.
I don't want to age you here or anything, but you know.
Well, I mean,
arrows.
My neighbor back in high school, him and I were best friends. We did everything together, and we didn't know what the hell we were doing back in the day. But we probably started. I was probably 14, 15 years old, and I'm 52 now. Wow. I took about a 8-10 year break when my son was born, but other than that, I've been hunting for quite a while.
So that was your first one, and that was early October, right?
The first one this year, yeah.
So then what was?
Yeah, I don't remember the exact date, but
what was the second one like?
The second one, I was just, like I say, out on the ground again. I had a doe tag to fill, and I went up. I had another little spot up on the hill that I like to go for does, and it was warm again, so I just took my bucket, went up there, got up against a tree where I'd shot. I usually get does up there pretty good every year. There's usually a lot of activity, but I was probably there. I was probably there half an hour at the most. I hadn't even got all my stuff out of my bag yet. I was just kind of sitting down, cooling off, and looked up, and two had came out and standing right in front of me, mother and a fawn. And so I kind of let them go, because I hate to shoot with the fawn right there. But so I let them walk off, and then second one came out. She was 18 yards away, standing right in front of me. I wasn't there, like I say, about 45 minutes at the most before I had shot her.
So how long were you there for the first one? Like, were you camped out pretty long, or was it kind
of? No, I'd probably been there maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Was that
so? It's probably an hour before dark.
So it was afternoon.
Yeah.
Were all three of yours in the afternoon then?
Yep.
Have you noticed anything like early season afternoons better, mornings better, or anything like that?
I don't know. It just depends. My main problem is just my schedule. Working third shift, it's easier for me to go in the afternoon than the morning. So
yeah,
that's why most of mine come in the afternoon.
So about shift schedule and everything like that. What have you noticed since being a first responder? Kind of having that escape to go hunting. What can you kind of touch base on that a little bit?
Oh, I love it. To me, there's nothing better than being in the woods or being on the water, just to clear your mind of everything.
Yeah.
You don't have the chaos. It's just peace and quiet.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Well, how would you, let's say there's someone in law enforcement or first responder, how kind of, I guess, get into a little bit like the benefits and of being in the woods, whether it's hunting or fishing or anything like that. You know, obviously we're all in a stressful job, you know, whether you're EMT, dispatcher, Leo or something like that. You as a dispatcher, you obviously hear the calls first and have to dispatch it out and stay calm, cool, and collected. But, you know, it sounds like getting into the woods is a benefit for you. How would you promote that to other people?
Oh, I think, you know, especially as a dispatcher, I can't speak from, you know, officer, firefighter standpoint, but like for a dispatcher, you know, like an officer, he has that one call he's responding to. Fire department has that one call you're responding to. And for a dispatcher, you still have medical calls coming in when you're out on traffic stops. And when there's a fire going on, you still have maybe somebody having a heart attack over here, or you got a traffic stop and stuff like that. So it's just always chaos.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it's just like I say, just being out in peace and quiet, and I don't have to listen to phones and play with computers, and it's just get away from everything.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you hit the nail right on the head there. Like, dispatch is not easy. I mean, when you worked with me, I told you flat out I could never do your job. I wouldn't want to do your job. I mean, you guys actually have to be nice.
So that's the hard part. Is just you guys are on your one call, but there's still all this other going on behind the scenes, and you still expect the dispatchers to answer you when you need stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a balancing act. And like I say, I get out in the woods or on the water, and it's me and God's animals.
For those of you who don't know, Steve used to work with Cody and I, then he left us because he's a trader. We're not salty or anything like that still to this day, but it was fine. Steve was great to work with, very reliable, and a great guy too, even though he's old. I mean, around biblical age, but so your third one, I know
it's great. It's probably from you, Nate.
Probably. We have some funny stories about me calling out different names.
Yes.
So that the first two you went, you're supposed to be done after that, right? You tagged out. You're just gonna do
I was
buck and the doe. Kind of go into your third one a little bit.
Well, actually, after I got my buck and my doe, I had never been turkey hunting before. I shouldn't say that. I went with you and Cody.
Hunting before.
I went with you and Cody each once, and just basically do the camera work and stuff like that. But I've never physically hunted them myself. So I thought, well, I'll get a couple of turkey tags and go out. And so I went out one day, didn't see anything. Like I say, I didn't have a clue really what I was doing. But then I took you out hunting that one day. I didn't have firearm. I didn't have a bow. I didn't have anything with me. I was just out walking around while you were hunting and saw 3 turkeys. So
you're swimming in deer while I was just nothing in sight.
Yeah, well, I saw 3 turkeys that day at 25 yards from me. Like I say, nothing, but I like to do is stand there and watch them.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the other dispatchers that we used to work with, I asked her if she wanted another deer because I'd got her one a couple of years ago, and she said she'd love to have one. So went out and I got another buck and doe tag. Went out another day, went to a different spot where I was originally going to go that I had set up for my big buck that had been watching. And lo and behold, I had a tall tined 8-pointer come walking in that day. He came in I think it was at 17 yards.
Wow.
Yeah, I watched him to jump the fence and come down the hill directly at me. I had literally just stood up and to relieve myself and was just getting ready to sit back down, looked up, and here he was coming. So I didn't have time to turn cameras on for anything. I mean, everything just this year just was
quick
like that. And so that was I don't know, the first week in November. So I was literally done by first week of November.
Now we've mentioned filming a couple of times. You've recently just started self-filming. You've
trying.
You've filmed for Cody and me and some other guys before. What is the challenges from hunting so long without self-filming to now trying to self-film? I'm sure there's guys out there.
Well, I don't know. It's very hard because you're trying not to keep your movements to a minimum.
Mm-hmm.
And now all of a sudden you're trying to get a camera turned on and then turn the camera towards the deer. And then it's just a real struggle.
Yeah.
And like I say, this year I didn't have time for anything. Everything was just bang, bang, bang. As soon as I sat down, it seemed like the deer were on top of me. And
mm-hmm.
So I did have the camera turned on for that. When my big buck came out, I just never had it in record mode.
Mm-hmm.
But when they first came out, they were literally standing right in front of me. And that doe kind of had me picked, but she just never blew. And so I knew if I was reaching for the camera, trying to turn it around,
she'd blow.
I wouldn't have a prayer. Yeah, she would. So, yeah, it's a real struggle trying to self-film.
No, I mean, hell, I've been doing it 3 years, not 80 like you, but in the 3 years that I've tried to self-film or do anything like that, I don't know, I think it's easier to start out doing something. So like me hunting, I just started hunting, just started self-filming. So to me, it's easier to get my setup ready to go, know what I'm doing versus someone that's hunted for years and years and years, just trying to learn how to self-film because like you said, you movement to a minimum, and now you're kind of breaking that old habit of trying to be as still as possible.
Exactly. So I don't know, it's just constant struggle trying to figure out what I should go for the camera, go for the bow. What am I supposed to grab first? I don't know. It just throws a whole different wrench into everything.
So do you have any plans for 2024 then for any other?
I don't know. I'm thinking, I've told Cody, but this might have been my last year deer hunting. It just kind of depends. My brother or my son and my son-in-law both talked about getting into hunting, and I'd much rather go just watch them and film them and see get their first deers and stuff like that. So I don't know. I say that, but then I go out and when we go to the store and go to Bass Pro, and I'm always looking at new deer hunting stuff. So we'll see. I just think this year, I don't think I'll ever beat this year as far as just overall season.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like I say, I would rather go out and sit with my son and watch him do it. But
has he
he's obviously getting ready to go out on his own as far as career wise and everything.
Has he ever had like an apprenticeship tag or anything like that?
No, he never has. Well, he's always had baseball, sports, basketball, and everything. So there's just never been time for him to go. But he's always been busy after school. So
he graduates this year, right?
Yep.
So he'll have more time in the fall and everything like that.
Well, we'll see. He's trying to get into an apprenticeship program right now, so we'll see how that goes and what happens and where he's at this fall.
Well, you can't give up your spot because it's a good spot that you got over there.
I got like a great spot out there. I've hunted it since early 90s. When it's actually my mother-in-law's, but it was long before her and I ever started dating, or I don't even think we knew each other back in the day. But I was hunting out there. So.
How'd you get that lined up? Like family?
Basically, her dad used to be my boss.
Oh, okay.
Way back in the day. So I'd ask him to go out there hunting, and he said, sure. Here we are.
Now, full circle, you married his daughter.
Yep.
Not like that was planned or anything. Jeez.
Heck no.
So I know in 2024, we've kind of talked about branding wise, different shows or anything like that. Are you going to be able to make an appearance to the shows in Peoria or anything like that?
I told Cody I would. I know I can't do Iowa because I'm working, but I plan on being over there Sunday in Peoria.
Okay. Well, this podcast will probably be out maybe the week we're in Iowa. So if you guys are watching this, you want to come Sunday and see Steve, the old man river here. He'll be behind the booth and he'll help you guys out with anything you want. Is there anything else you want to talk about, Steve? I know you're short, sweet, to the point.
No. Maybe some. Maybe we'll do a fishing one of these days. Because I would rather go fishing than if I had to choose between fishing and hunting. I would go fishing.
Why is that?
I don't know. I just like it more. To me, it's a lot easier to gain access to go fishing than it is hunting. Hunting places that you can't hardly get in anymore. Everybody wants to lease. Everybody wants to keep everything for themselves. And I think that's going to be one of the downfalls of hunting is just you can't hardly gain access anymore unless you've got a lot of money for a lease, or then you're stuck to public ground, which is not that plentiful. Or you got a lot of guys that are on public ground.
Well, not like that, but like you said, like with public ground, like I know we've talked about doing a public hunt different places, but especially when it comes like first gun season or the rut or anything like that, like the amount of pressure that's already on those deers versus where you have a lease or your own land, like where you're fortunate enough to kind of have your mother-in-law's land to go to, like they're not as pressured. You can control that environment, so to speak. Yeah,
but like when I was younger, you could go. I had an access to several different places, and now you can't get in hardly anywhere. I don't know if that's because of like insurance purposes, which I think some of it is, but a lot of people are finding out they can make big money just by leasing their property. And which I mean, you can kind of see their point. As far as the landowner, they're making money, but it just kind of sucks for the hunter, middle class guy that's just wanting to go out hunting.
Yeah. So what are your plans with the meat? What did you do with the meat?
Oh, I do all kind of stuff with the meat. And I mainly just get the back straps and hamburger. I don't usually get steaks. Do what?
Did you get any sticks or any salami?
I think I had 4 rolls of salami made, but I actually got the casings and everything here. I'm trying to make my own this year. I've never tried it, so.
You know what? You never even offered me any salami either, but we'll let that slide, I guess.
Well, you got a deer this year. Did you offer me any?
Currently being made right now by Cody at his house. So that's who you got to talk to, not me. I just
Well,
kill it.
if I get around to making the sticks, I'll give you some.
See, that's true friendship right there. Even
It
though I give
is.
you all those gray hairs.
Yeah, you've got more than one in there.
No, I think because you mentioned that you might not hunt next year.
We'll see.
Just depends.
I've really gotten into coyote hunting the last year or two, and I don't know. I really enjoy that.
What's the difference between that for people that don't listen or don't hunt? What's the difference between like coyote hunting? Like, what makes it more fun than deer hunting?
I don't know if it makes it more fun. It's just different, something different.
What makes it different?
You just go out and call for coyotes, stuff like that. As far as like approach deer hunting, you go out and you try to be as quiet as you can, and yeah, you got your grunts and everything like that. But I don't know. It's just something different. Usually, I've always coyote hunted after deer season ends, like January, February, just something to pass the time till fishing season gets here. And I don't know. I've really kind of gotten where I like coyote hunting too, as well as deer hunting.
Yeah.
But like I say, we'll see what happens this fall. I've said for the last couple of years I might be done deer hunting, and I always end up going out. So.
Are there any tips and tricks that you want to give to new hunters for?
I think there's a lot of stuff that you could pass on to new hunters that are just kind of lost and gone by the wayside. Just like food plots, they weren't a thing back 25, 30 years ago. And especially the big tower blinds and stuff like that, and guys hunting over food plots, I think it's a whole different approach or atmosphere, whatever you want to talk about, or whatever you want to call it. So,
how would a new hunter, how would they be able to access or find out some different tricks of the trade or anything like that outside of watching the Thin Blue Line Outdoor podcast?
Me, when I remember I was probably 10, 12 years old, and the only thing I wanted for Christmas was a subscription to Outdoor Life magazine. And my grandpa, that's what they got me for Christmas, and I'd read it cover to cover, and I had that all the way up until I was in my 20s. Mm-hmm. And I'm just little tricks and just research it like anything else. Just research, get little tips from everything. Mm-hmm. Obviously, now there's a lot more available with all the social media, everything else. So. But yeah, I think a lot of guys are just in that habit now where they plant a food plot and put up a blind next to it, and that's all they know how to do. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. That's their own choice. But so I think a lot of the old ways are starting to go by the wayside.
Well, I know you're not a huge fan of the food plots.
I'm not against it, but it's just, I don't know, at some point with the food plots and the cameras and everything else, at some point, when does it not become true fair chase? Because I don't use cameras. I don't use food plots. And like I say, to each their own. I'm really a lot more traditional as far as the approach, the equipment wise. Obviously, everybody's got their opinions on that.
So you mean like cameras? You mean like no trail cams or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, you actually go out, and like me, I'm out there in the woods just constantly, just because that's where I like to be. So I'm always looking for deer trails and where they're at. To me, the best time to go out is searching is like right at the end of the season, beginning of January, middle of January. You can see where all the deer have been. But, a lot of people just like do the trail cameras anymore. And like I say, that's to each their own. Mm-hmm. So I think you can go out and learn a lot more about the woods by being in the woods. So
now, do you use any calls while you hunt?
I always take a grunt call, and it's got I think 3 on it. Yeah, like the doe bleat, and the buck grunt. So I always have my grunt call. I've had that one grunt call I know over 30 years. So.
Wow!
And I still use it to this day. It's probably my best call. But other than that, I've tried the little deer can, whatever that thing's called. I've tried that before. I don't know if it worked or not.
Now, outside of using RackGetters, who's very nice to give us scents and everything like that, have you noticed any scents throughout the year that it helps, it doesn't help, anything like that?
I don't know. I think it's mostly about having him in the right place at the right time. I think that goes with a lot of deer. I've always said that it's crazy to me how you'll never figure out what deer language is. Because it's like one day you'll have 30 deer out in the field, and you go to that same field tomorrow and you won't see a one. So But it's like, how do they all know to be in this one field at this one time tonight?
Yeah.
And so I don't know. As far as like scents and lures and stuff like that, I don't know if you get that one deer that's passing through there, yeah, he's obviously going to hit on it and stuff like that, but you got to have it in the right place at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just basically looking for that one spot. Yeah, that one pattern where he's going to pick up on that. But it's always fascinated with me how you see that many deer in one field, and they're coming from different directions. It's not like there's 30 of them on the one trail going in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just fascinating to me. How do they know to be in that field? And then next night you won't see a one there.
Right.
And it's just fascinating to me.
Well, Steve, I know you guys start getting ready for work, man. We appreciate you coming on, telling your story for the year. Hopefully this is not your last year hunting. Hopefully you have many, many more years to hunt.
Well, I'll still be out in the woods, but if my kids don't want to go, then I'll definitely back out there by myself. But if they're going to go, I'd much rather watch them and film them. And,
kind of pass it down to them.
yeah, make memories and watching them. So I'm hoping they get to go.
Yeah, no, I know as a team member too, we love having you on the team, and you definitely bring experience and perspective. I mean, hell, I've asked you multiple times in the stand, hey, I got this going on, what do I do? And you usually tell me just sit still, be quiet, which is extremely hard for me to do. Well, we appreciate your time, man. If you guys get a chance, check out thenewlineoutdoors.com for all new merchandise that we have on there. You can see Mr. Rubb and different people that we're sponsored with. Check out YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe. And go to YouTube and check out Steve's vlog that we have from this past year. You got anything else, Steve?
Nothing new. Good luck out in the woods and on the water.
Right on, brother.